We're on page 2 and we're going to review our pre-cuts. The first pre-cut was a 4 by 5.5 and we called that a pocket. The first thing that we did was we laid this so we were 4 inches across and we scored at a 1/2 inch. It then said to turn it, so now you are 5.5 across, score at a 1/2 inch and 5 inch. The next pre-cut we had was a 1.5 by 4 7/8. We called it a strap. What we did was we laid this on our scoring board so we were 4 7/8 across. We scored it at a 1/2 and 5/8. The next thing that it said was to cut 5 pieces that were 4 1/4 by 5.5, and it said only to label one of them. And it's our waterfall. On each one of these though, what we did was we laid this so we were 5.5 across and we scored each one at a 1/2 inch. Our last pre-cut was a 4 1/8 by 6.5 and we called that a folder. What we did was we laid this so we were 6.5 inches across and we scored it in the middle at 3 1/4. All right, let's begin. In your paper pack, you will find this gorgeous piece. On the back, it looks like this. Let's turn this sideways. The first cut is we're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. Our next cut is we're going to measure over 10 1/8 and cut. This is our base page. The first thing that we're going to want to get after is our 4 by 5.5 pocket. Down in the corners where the score lines meet and make a square, let's cut those squares out. Let's turn this over and use our tool to fold on those score lines. And this pocket is made the same way that we've been making them like on the previous page. So we'll fold in the sides to see how far over we need to go. We'll put a little glue in those corners. Then we will fold up. Let's set this off to the side for just a moment. We're going to find our paper for this. In your reserves, you will have this. It's the bottom portion of this. What we're going to do is we're going to measure over 4.5 inches and cut. Once you've made that cut, let's turn that sideways like this and measure over 3 3/8 and cut. We're going to use this as our pocket. If you were to lay this down, you will notice that it will give you a nice little white border. Now in my original one I'm going to show you here. In the original one, what I did was I made a pocket that looked like this. You can use a round punch, you can use your score tape to draw out a little dip if you would like. It's up to you. And then what you would do is once you've done that and glued it down, you can cut out and around. So I'm just going to show you by hand here. I'm just using the edge of my score tape and I'm going to try and keep this in the center. And I'm just going to have a little dip. If you have like a circle punch, you can use that. That's kind of like what I used in the other one. But if you're wanting that dip, you can definitely use your score tape and then you can use the inside there. And I'll show you this way just in case. And you just kind of want to eyeball this to make sure that you kind of have this even. And all you do is you draw. And it's kind of hard to show you to see, but I do have that drawn. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out as best I can. And I am a slow cutter, that's for sure. So I have a little dip there. Next thing is I'm going to glue this down and then I'll cut around with that. So get some glue on that. And you do not have to do this. You can just leave it plain without. And I'll bring it down. And then what you can do is just cut, leaving a little bit of a white border. And I'm going to go very slow. And there I have it. Let's turn this over. We're going to put this down. Now what you're going to want to do is come in a 1/2 inch from the side. So if you'd like to place your ruler down and just kind of make a pencil line where you're supposed to go, you can do that. And I'm going to come up about a 1/2 inch from the bottom as well, as best I can, or 1/4 inch, whatever you'd like to do. 1/4 inch would look good too. So I'm about a 1/2 inch in from the side. And then I'm going to burnish. I hope I got that straight. Yep. Let's grab our 5 waterfall pieces, and what we're going to do right now is just fold on those score lines, and we'll use our tool to sharpen those creases up. So the first one that we're actually going to be laying is one that does not have any writing. The one with writing is the one that goes on the top because it'll get covered completely. So you can do this 2 ways. You can use your score tape and place it down and burnish it, and I'm going to give you a measurement of how far up you need to be. Or you can use glue so you can still maneuver it. It is up to you. Glue is probably a little bit easier so that you have some maneuvering room. I'm going to use my score tape. I'm just going to lay it right there on that little hinge. And then you're going to burnish it down really good and inspect your piece, make sure there is no score tape. But you can use glue, and glue is more forgiving so that you can get that straight. So for a moment I'm going to be laying my score tape, and I will be right back as soon as I am done. I have all my score tape on, and what you're going to do is grab your ruler, and from the top of your paper, measure down 2 5/8 and make a pencil line. That is our starting point, meaning that if you're not using score tape, what you'll do is you'll put your glue here, you'll fold it back, and the tip of this, the crease or the fold, is going to lay right there over the line. And when you place this, you're going to make sure it's centered side to side. So you're going to have a good 1/2 inch here approximately, and about a 1/2 inch approximately here. So let's do our first one together. So I'll fold, here's the sticky, fold it back. I'm going to find that line, and I'm going to try and get that even between there. Let's see. Oh, I think that's going to be good enough. Once you do that, you can burnish down, and you will notice it does not get on the story. It's right above that, your flap. So the rest of these are pretty easy. Remember, this one will be the last one we place. Let's do our next one. And what's going to happen is I'm going to show you. Here's the sticky. You're going to rotate it so the sticky is down. Here's my flap. And you're going to bring that right up next to this, the top of this one. So you just kind of butt it right on up and line it up. And then you should fall even. Glue is much easier because you can shimmy it around to get it straight. Okay, get it up there, lined up. I got my next one down, and we're going to keep continuing with this. And the last one, our writing. That looks about straight there to me, as best as it's gonna get. Our next piece we're gonna grab is our 1.5 by 4 7/8 strap. Let's go ahead and fold on those score lines. And what you're gonna do is your hinge is gonna be down here. You're gonna have a top score line and a bottom one. On the bottom one, we're gonna pinch on it. All we're doing right now is attaching this. So we're just gonna hook that on underneath our page so that it's even, side to side, as even as you can get it. Once you have it, you're gonna pinch and hold it down, and we will glue the flap down. Now this is going to be loose, and you can push back against the other score line. This is going to be loose until we get this, because we still have our folder to do. So let's find some paper for this. In your reserves, you will have this piece. On the back, it's the back of her dress. It's cutting from this. Turn it around so the trellis is over here. Measure over 4 3/4 and cut. So this is what you should have, and if you were to lay it on that very top piece and center it, it should give you a nice white border around there. And I'm just going to lift that up so you can see some good colors in there. Let's glue this down. We're putting glue on the side that you can see her dress. We're going to put a little color into this page. And we're going to place it. Next, grab your 4 1/8 by 6 1/2 folder, and we're going to fold on that, and we're going to burnish. We're going to find some paper for this, and we also need to get our magnet on this. In your reserves, you will find this print. It is approximately 5 inches by 7 inches. There's some writing over here. We're just gonna flip it till the writing is over here. Measure over 3 1/8 and cut. After making that cut, this is what you should have. We have some of the brown print over here. We're going to turn it this way. Measure over 4 inches and cut. Your opening of your folder should be off to your right. If you were to place this, this will give you a very slim white border around that. Let's glue that down. Let's open it up. We're going to grab a plus. And we will bring it in, oh gosh, maybe 3/4 of an inch from the side, and we'll place that. Then we're going to close it. We'll grab the minus, let it find its mate, and we'll just put a little glue there for right now. In your reserves, you will find this piece. The one that I'm looking for is love. Now I'm going to cut around this so that I don't detach this down here. I'll put this back in my reserves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around this piece. Then I'm going to glue it down to some white cardstock, and then I'm going to cut around that, leaving a border. So I'm going to get started here, and then I'll show you what I have. So I've cut this out. Now I'm gluing it down and then cutting out and around it. I'm as slow as a turtle when it comes to this. My circle is not perfect, but the outlining of this helps it so it looks better. So again, the opening is right here. This goes right on top. Right on over there. Let's open this up. And this is where some scraps will come and be helpful. So in my reserves, I have 2 of these. let's see, they're almost identical. One is, and it looks like this on the back, one is about 1 7/8 by 8 inches. This one is 2 inches by 7 3/4. So it's a little short. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double these up as best I can. So I've got them doubled up. I'm going to measure over 4 inches and cut. After making that cut, this is what we will have. And what we can do on this is seam it together on one side. So I think I'll lay this one down here. Let's see. I don't think it's really going to matter much. Let's see, if I go like this with the trim at the top, I think that'll look the best. So I'm going to have it where the trim is at the top of this piece. You can arrange it any way. If you'd rather have it at the bottom, you can. That would look good too. So the first one is going to go on the inside here, and I'm just going to make sure that I am away from my score line. Make sure these are even. And we're going to do the same thing we've done before. Now be careful of your magnet. That can be kind of tricky. Just make sure you get your sides and you get your edges there. And I will do this, and I'll match them up as best I can. And then I'm going to burnish really good on that seam line. So when I'm done, it'll look like this, barely noticeable. So I found this piece in reserves, and I am just kind of looking through some of my scraps to see what I have. Let's see if this is 8 inches, then we can just use this. Oh, a little bit more than 8 inches. Okay, I'm going to show you which one I have. There is some writing over here, and on the back it's partial of those circles. This is about 2 inches by 8.5. This will work great. We're going to measure over 4 inches and cut, and we'll measure over again 4 inches and cut. Okay, we're going to seam these together as best we can, so I'm just going to lay one here, and that's how it's going to look. And then that takes care of scrap strips for us a little bit. I think that's good. All right, this piece here, what we're going to do is we'll put glue on this, and we'll remove that little backing off our magnet, and that's going to place right here. And when you place that, you will notice now with the magnet that this bottom piece can come up. This latches, and it's what's going to keep your waterfall down. So I'm going to remove the backing here, and I'm going to get that on, and then we can get the rest of our papers on. Okay, so I'm just going to try and center that best I can. That looks halfway decent. Carefully open it. So let's see how this works. Here's the strap, here's that, and it works. Perfect. All right, let's get our little pieces that go on here. In your reserves, you're going to find this piece. This is about 4 1/4 inches wide by about 6 1/4. What I would like you to do is measure over 4 inches and cut. So now that you have that, let's turn this sideways. I do have this little part over here. We're going to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut until we have a total of 5 1/2 inch pieces. And I think that that will be enough. If not, we will gets more. So measure over until you have 5 half-inch pieces. I have 5 half-inch pieces. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to pull up the first one. We're going to glue one down here at the and leave a little white border, and we'll center that side to side. We're going to take the other one and we will put it up here. So let's do that really quick. So I have those down. What we're going to do is alternate. So the next one we won't do anything with. So we'll flip that. We'll leave this one alone. We'll flip again. We're going to place one here. And we're going to place one here. And I'll show you what mine looks like in just a moment as soon as I get these down. If you'd like to wait and see, it's just alternating. Alright, so we'll flip that up. We're skipping, we're going to flip this up, and we will put this last one on the very back. So this is what it looks like on the back. That is what it looks like on the front. Let's get our other paper. In your reserves, you should have this. Let's see what we got here. It is 8 inches, which is perfect. And it's by 1 7/8. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is measure over 4 inches and cut. And then we're going to keep both pieces. So this is what you should have. We're going to need a total of, we need 2, 4, okay, we're going to need 4, and I don't think we can get 4 out of each. So what I'm going to do is, since we're already 4 inches this way, I'm going to measure over a 1/2 inch and cut, measure over a 1/2 inch cut, and I think, well, hey, nope, this is 1 7/8. So I'm going to get about 3 1/2 inch cuts off this one, and then I'm going to need a 1/2 inch cut off this one. So you're going to need total of 4 1/2 inch strips. So let's do that. So I have the 4, work with that. So I'm going to flip to this, and I'm just going to lay it down here, and I'll lay one down here, up here. Then what I'm going to do is flip it, and then I'll lay one here, and I will lay one down here. So let's do that really quick. I have all mine down, and this is what yours should look like too, if you're using the same paper. If not, you'll be using something else, and it looks pretty good. We do have this, and we are going to get something to cover that. In your reserves, you should have a piece like this. It is 8 1/2 by 1 1/4. Measure over 4 1/4 and cut. So after doing that, you'll have this. We'll just turn that, and we're going to cut about a 1/2 inch. Okay, I have my piece, and you should still be able to push this up underneath and still see your writing. Now this one I may have cut just a little wider. The idea is bringing it up underneath your score line from this. If when you lay it down it covers your writing, then you need to trim it down like I do. So I'm going to try this now and see if that works, and it does. And you can look on both sides to see what it is, the side that you would like to use. Let's go ahead and find our paper for the strap. In your reserves, you will have this, and what we're looking at is this strip. So I'm going to put this on my paper cutter to start. I'm not going to cut for the blue. I'm just coming right on over to right here, and I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut this strip off, and I'm going to show you it. Now I can cut this down a little more if needed, but look what I did. You see that? After making that cut, I should be about 1 1/4, and I think this will be fine. giving us a nice white border around there. That will work. Once you've done that, we're going to make 2 cuts. Let's start by measuring over 4 1/8 and cut, measuring over again 4 1/8 and cutting. Let's check. If we were to place that down, that'll give us a nice white border. On the inside, it'll do the same. Let's glue these down. Page 2, let's flip it over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame. 1 down the middle and 2 on each side. I have the score tape on the back, and I'm going to show you first before we do this. So this is page 2. It's going to lay over here. I am going to grab something so that you can see the outside edges of my paper. That's the idea. So that you can see, because white's so hard to see the difference. Here is the idea of this. We want to stay away from our page hinge. When I place this, I am going to place it down, looking to make sure I have white here and here. I'm going to try and get that centered. I'm going to leave at least 1/4 of an inch in this book away from the hinge. So that should give me a good 1/8 of an inch over here of white cardstock to frame this. So I'm going to remove the score tape backing, and we are going to place these. Please take your time. You may want to squirt some glue so that it gives you a little wiggle room so that you can maneuver your page. But, you know, the most important thing is just take your time. If it takes you 5 minutes, literally, to lay that page, then take the 5 minutes. Okay, so I am going to lay some glue so I can kind of show you. Since I'm back over here, I'm going to put glue right along the edge so that I can wiggle it, and on the bottom because I don't want to lean over and get my head in there. So I'm going to lay a little strip of glue here and along the bottom. Otherwise, I'm going to be over my page. So I'm going to just kind of look to make sure I have 1/8 of an inch over here. And then I'm going to try and get that as straight as possible as I can. Let's see. I think that's going to be it for me. I'm down. And then I'm going to press that. I'm going to open this up, and so that I can get underneath there. I can move this now, and I'm going to burnish this down really good. Now that we have page 2 in, we can now get page 1 in. Also, I want to tell you something. If by any reason you did not get this close enough, this folder close enough to the magnet when you're underneath, what you can do, and so that you can still have this catch, let's say you just aren't catching very well, what you can do at the end of the tutorial is grab, oh, where is it? Here we go. Grab maybe a rose or something, cut it out, mount it to white cardstock, and then put it along the edge hanging off. It won't hurt anything, but on your folder, so that when this does come down, it catches better. Mine catches just fine, but I wanted to just say that. Just in case. You never know. Things kind of lay funny sometimes. Okay, for this page, it's going to be easier for us to line the top and bottom up with the top and bottom of this page. So when we do that, we're going to bring this over to the left. We're going to have probably about 1/4 inch away from the edge there. Mind where your thing is, and we will place that just like that, trying to keep that page even. You might have to slide it down just a little bit. Again, use your glue to help you maneuver. I'm just going to go for it this time. And I hope that you guys like the tutorial so far. I always have a good time when I create these. Okay, I have this. I'm just going to stick that in there. It ain't going to hurt nothing. I'm going to try and line it up. The biggest thing is do not get near your hinge. So I'm going to bring it over. Oh, I think I'll just go right there. Open that up. Hopefully that's semi-straight. Okay. Oh, I did fairly good there. They kind of match up. So there is our page 1 and our page 2. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Your pockets should be working. You can also stick this in your pocket inside. I just thought it was kind of neat to have a little tuck there. Okay, we are now on to page 3. We're on page 3. We have one pre-cut, and that's 4 by 8 7/8, and we called it a pocket. The first thing that we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 inches across, and we scored it at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it, so now we are 8 7/8 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch and 8 3/8. Well, we have this in our hand, and that's the only pre-cut. Let's go down to the corners and snip out those squares. And we'll get this ready to go. And we will set this off to the side. In our paper pack, we will find this beautiful print. On the back, it is this. The first cut that we're going to make is we're going to turn it this way. We're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. After making that cut, you should have this. Set this off to the side for a moment. Next, we're going to measure over 10 1/8 and cut. This is what you should have. We're going to flip this over. This is going to be our main page for page 3. Next thing I would like you to do is stick this on your paper cutter. And you see we have the tan and the little white scroll trim. We're going to put this on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut all the way down to separate the curtains from this trim. So I'm going to do mine really quick, and I'll show you what mine looks like. This is what I have. I'm going to put this in reserves. I'm going to measure over 10 1/8 and cut. Let's grab our glue, and we're going to glue this to the top. And you'll see why, because page 4 will have this at the top, the trim. Got my glue. I'm going to flip it over and make sure I've got this on straight, and I do. Perfect. Let's grab our pocket, and the opening is up here. It looks like I need to add a little more glue back behind there. And we're going to place this. My dogs are playing today. So for this, I'm going to come up maybe a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and I'm going to try to center this so there's even amount of decorated paper on each side. And I'm going to place this. And I want to make sure that I'm even here. All right, we're going to find our paper for this now. In your paper pack, you will find this print. On the back, it looks like this. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to place this on our paper cutter, and I'm looking at my paper like this, so I'm coming to the bottom here. We're going to place this on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut, dividing the white trim from this, and I'm going to show you mine really quick. So as you can see, whoops, I'll put it back the way it's supposed to go. I left the white trim on this piece, and what I was looking for is this. Also, in your reserves, you will find this piece. It's a long piece with the brick, and it looks like this on the back as part of her dress. So if you were to flip this over like this, where you can see her dress, and you can take this piece too. We're going to make the same cut on both of these, so I'm just kind of showing you that they're both the same. We're going to measure over 7 7/8 and cut. Okay, measuring over 7 7/8. So when you're done making those cuts, this is what you have. We're first going to glue this one down. And this is going to be glued to the bottom portion. Next, we're going to put glue on the side that you can actually still see some of her dress. I wanted to get this brick in there. I think it will look really good. And we're going to come over the top just slightly so we still have a white lip of our pocket showing. And then we're going to burnish. In your reserves, you will have this print. It's the back side. We already took a piece off here. We're going to cut out the prints very carefully here. We'll start with that. The next thing we want to do is cut out and around him. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it down to some white cardstock, and we'll cut out around that. But first, let's get this taken care of. I have him cut out, and now it's time for me to glue him down to some white cardstock. I'll burnish it down, and then I'm going to cut out and around, leaving a little bit of a white border around him. So let's get that ready. I have mine cut out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to glue him down right here, and we're going to place glue along the bottom where his feet are, up the side. And we do want to tack down this little piece just right under here. That way, if you want to stick a tag, or maybe you want to stick, oh, I don't know. Let's see what I have here. Here, I'll use this. In case you want to stick a photograph, tuck it back behind, you still can. So I'm just going to rotate him. I'm going to get a little over here. Definitely his feet. So I got it going up over there, and I'm going to bring him up to about his shoulder, I think. And I will place him. So let's check it out. Perfect. I want to see what this looks like really quick. I'm going to get this back out. This is my sentiment, my sheet here, and I'm going to cut this one out. We may not use it here, but I want to see what it kind of looks like. So what I'm going to do is just weave out and around, cut around this image. And I'm not going to be real persnickety. I'm just going to weave in and around. I'll show you what mine looks like when I am done. So I did mine, as you can see, I just kind of weaved around. I didn't do any real detail work. I think I would like us to just glue that down right here. We're not going to back it. We're just going to glue that down. I think that that looks really good. Let's see if there's anything else. On this sheet, oh, my dogs, they're playing. They're all making funny noises. We're going to cut out and around this Once Upon a Time. And again, I'm just going to kind of weave around. I'm not going to get real persnickety because we're not going to back this with anything. I'll show you mine as soon as I am done. So I did this, I just kind of weaved around. This is where this one goes. And we're not going to back this one either. Doesn't need to be. And where I'm going to place it is right along that seam. Page 3 is complete. We're going to flip that over. We're going to do score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle. And I think we're getting to where we're using a lot of score tape, one on each side, and then we're going to do in some glue. And I'll just grab what I have here. And I think if we make sure that we put enough glue in there, it should be okay. We just got to burnish that down really good. I have the backing off. I have some glue squirted down. I'm going to grab my book. And let's see. We are on page 3. And I'm going to do this like I've done before. I'm going to leave just a little bit, maybe 1/8 of an inch over to the left. Pretty good. And I'm going to press. And I'll burnish that down. Really good. I think that that looks really nice. I hope you like it too. We're now on to page 4, and that's going to be a fun page for us. We're on page 4, and we have 2 pre-cuts. The first one was an 8 by 11 inch. And we called it a fold out. What we did was we laid this so we were 11 inches across. We scored at 1/2 inch, 5/8, and 6 1/2. Next one, 3 1/2 by 9 inch side pocket. What we did was we laid this so we were 3 1/2 across. We scored it at 1/2 inch. We turned it. We're 9 inches across. We scored at 1/2 and 8 1/2. Let's get our paper for this. Now this one we're going to do just a little bit differently. We're going to need our ruler and our pencil. What I would like you to do is just put your paper out like this in front of you. You have the story over here. We're going to measure over 8 inches and make a pencil line. What we're going to end up doing is drawing a line until we hit her hair, and then we're going to cut up and around, and we're going to continue on with our 8-inch line. Now I will tell you an easy way to do this to get your line straight. You're not going to use this cutter just yet. What we're going to do is, my blade is right over here where it cuts. So I'm going to line this up, and it looks like this on my board because I'll be cutting this way. 8 inches. I'm going to put my pencil here because that's where my blade is, and I'm going to draw until I hit her hair. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to skip over here to where her hair is, and I'm going to continue drawing. So then I get a straight line. Now, if you were using a cutter that is like this, I can show you how you can do yours. I'm going to move this blade out of the way. Flip this over. Now, the blade mark is right here, right? The first thing you'll want to do is first measure over with your ruler and make that pencil line at 8 inches. So then what you can do is just use this to keep you straight. Use your guide here, and sometimes I think it would be easier to use this side. Line up with your pencil with that 8-inch mark, and then you will draw until you hit her hair. Because it's easier, there's a groove here, and it would really stink if your pencil went through, poke through your paper. So if you have your pencil line, you can put your pencil down, you can draw, and then you know where it continues, and you draw. So that is one way to use to get a straight line when we are trying to preserve the top of her head. And I'm going to put this back because I use this as my scoring board. So now if you're using that type here, it's easy for you to cut because you can lift your blade. You can see how far over, and then you can lift your blade again and continue on to cut it. I am using this and my blade does not lift. It doesn't. So I have to look, kind of bend down to see where my blade is, so then I can make sure I don't cut into her hair. Then what I have to do is bring my blade down here. So that is even. And then I gotta watch to see how far over that blade is coming. Next thing is when you get to the hair, this is where we're just gonna cut out and around. As best we can. And we'll bring it all the way back down. So for now, let's just stick this one off to the side. Now that we have that, and this is going to be our base page, don't worry that this is notched out. We're going to measure over 10 1/8 and cut. This is our main page. Now, what I would like you to do with this one is we're going to stick this on our paper cutter. And you can see where this is going to match up with this by the time we are done. But we're going to only take so much. So I think what I'm first going to have you do is place this on your paper cutter and you're going to cut. Keep this, take this off, and I'm going to show you mine. So all you've cut off, and that print is just gorgeous, is this. Okay? Now the next thing I would like us to do is we're going to put this on our paper cutter. And you see where there's blue here, and you see where the tan of the bedspread is. We're just going to cut straight up with our paper cutter, and I will show you mine. I'm going to put this in my reserves. Now, all I need to do, and this is going to get cut off, but to make sure you get this right, I would like you to cut out and around, and I'm going to show you mine really quick. Just do the best you can. Okay, so that's what you're going to have. I would like you to line up this print with this one. So I'm just coming to the very bottom. Make sure it lines up. I'm going to come over to the side here. And I'm just going to make a pencil mark where this meets the side of my paper. Now I'm going to cut. So what we're going to end up doing is just making maybe a little tuck area, a little pocket area. But I do want to back this with some cardstock. So I'm going to grab something out of my reserves. White cardstock here. And I'm going to glue this down. Now on the Tula and Norbert one, I did not do this, but I want to do this for this because it's just a great opportunity. It looks good. So I am just going to bring that all the way down. I'm not going to have a white border at the bottom. But and I'll cut this straight up, no border on the side. But when I cut this part out, I'm going to leave maybe a 1/16, just a little bit of white. So here's mine, just a little bit. So I'm going to bring this down to the bottom. Now I know that I'm going to need glue here. And we're going to eventually need some glue here. We're just gonna flip this over and we're gonna get the sides. Now, when we go to finish this up, we'll put some glue back behind. But until then, we're just gonna kind of pucker this just a little. Just enough so we can get something in there if we want. Or we can just put a photograph. So I'm gonna get that. Let's see what we can do here. Let's grab our score tape. And we'll just, so that it does and we don't forget it, let's just put a line of score tape across the bottom of our sheet for now. Okay, we do have a fold out that we're going to need to put on here. When we do, we can just release some of that score tape backing. Matter of fact, let's grab it out. I really like this. I really like how that looks. Let's grab our 8x11 fold out and we're going to fold on those score lines. Okay, so you have this and you're folding up. Let's fold that back. So what's going to happen here is we have this and we have this folded back behind. Here's my thing, the peaks are up and this just goes back behind. So we have, oh my gosh, an inside score line and an outside one. On that outside one, let's pinch and crease. We're just going to slide that right back behind our page here. And we're going to flip it over. Now, take yours, while you're holding it down, you can just kind of move this back out of the way. We can add our glue. And then we can just flop that back so it doesn't stick to our table. Now we'll just fold back on the other score lines. Make sure you check in here. Fold back so that you have your spacing in there. In your paper pack, you will find this print on the back. It is this: measure over 4 3/8 and cut. Once you have that, let's turn it sideways. Measure over 7 3/4 and cut. If you're all closed up, you can open it up, fold in this side, and you will see that that fits perfectly right there. Let's glue that down on that panel that we folded in. Oh, my dogs are just going nuts. They're so playful this morning. Okay, we'll center that in there as best we can. And burnish that. Let's open that up. In your reserves, let's grab this. Now we're going to do something different. We're going to stick this on our paper cutter. You see where the blue meets this side? We're going to stick this on our paper cutter and we're going to cut all the way down. And I'm going to show you mine. And this is what you should have. Now this one is about 7 5/8. So we'll go with that number there. So for now, just stick that there. Don't glue it down. I want to get the horse in here. And I think if we turn it this way, it's going to look pretty good. Just like that. That'll look really good. So we're going to do a few cuts here on this one piece. What we're going to do is turn it sideways. We'll measure over 7 5/8 and cut. Once you've done that, turn this upside down, measure over 4 3/8 and cut. You're going to need this one. This piece here is going to lay here. So let's just wait until we got all the pieces to the puzzle ready to go. But this will fit in that panel and give you enough room away from that. Now let's take this one and lay it on top of there. It should match up top and bottom. And if you put it right, give it about a 1/16 inch away from your score line and then bring this one over. It's going to look really good just like that. I think it does. So let's begin with this. First one is this one. And we're going to center that top and bottom. That looks pretty good. We're going to grab the horse. Now, if you don't want to do it that way, you can always turn it over and do it like that on these pieces. But I did want to get the horse in there. Now, for me, laying pictures, I'll tell you what my idea is on that. So I'm going to bring this over to about a 1/16 inch away from that score line. Make sure I'm straight there. Looks pretty good. And now this one. Now if you want to use this side and just have your horse here, that would look good. Open area for a photograph. Photograph here. Or you can place this down and you can stick a small photograph here. And you can still stick a photograph right there and overlap over it. And your horse still continues on. So it will look good. So either way, I'm going to have the horse, but this does look good too. Just the print. And I'm going to bring that over about 1/16 inch away from that. And I think that looks really good. I hope you like that too. So we're going to fold this in. We're going to fold this over. And we need to get our paper here. We still have a pocket. And I also have something for a magnet to keep this whole thing shut. Let's grab our pocket and just get this ready to go. Down in the corners, we will find our square to cut out. And we'll put this together like we have been all of our others. Pockets we've done. Okay. In your reserves, you will have this print. This is about 8 inches tall by 1 7/8. We're going to set that off to the side. And the next thing we have is this. So what we're going to do on this is you should still have a little bit of this going on here, your trim. We're going to square this up. Now I'm going to put this off to the side. So I'm going to make sure it's straight and I'm going to cut all the way down and I'm going to leave as much of this as I can. So drag this over and it looks like I'm pretty flat on that edge. And I'm just going to look to see what I can get off this. That looks pretty good. Out of curiosity, I want to see if this is going to work for us. I think it will. That, and giving us a white edge. I think that'll look okay. I can always find something else. On this piece, measure over 8 inches and cut. I found what I wanted here. Next piece I want you to grab is this out of your reserves. It is this color. We're going to measure, and this is what it looks like. It was the bottom of the bed, it looks like. And I think the first thing we want to do is just measure over 8 inches and cut. The first piece we're going to do, and our opening is right here. So, opening, is we're going to take this piece that we cut at 8 inches, and we're going to lay it where the opening is, leaving a little bit of a white border. That other way, there was just too much white for me. So there is some gray and then there's the cream. The gray is going to be over this way. And when we lay this, we are going to leave just a little bit of a white border there. That looks good. The next piece is this. And we're going to lay it like this to where the trim is here and it goes over that cream color. And the last piece would be this. We're going to apply glue, and we're just going to stick it right there, and it'll come right up underneath this trim, and it will look really good. So sometimes you just got to play around with your scraps to see what combination looks the best. And I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to stick this off to the side. We're going to find our main paper that sits back behind this. In your reserves, you will find this. We've already cut off this side from down here to get that trim. Looking at it like this, measure over 3.5 and cut. This is what you should have. We're going to turn it this way. We're going to measure over, let's do 7 7/8 and cut. Now that you have that, flip it over. If you were to place this down even, top and bottom, give yourself a little white border over here. And if we were to apply glue and glue this down over, I think it's going to look really good. It is up to you if you would rather, and that's why we cut it like this, use the blue side up like this. And I think that would look really good too, to be honest. So there's one option with it like this, or another option like this and like this. And remember, we do have something that's going to go over here, and I think I'm going to glue it to where this is there, because I have quite a bit of color over there, and I think I want to lighten it up over here. So I'm going to glue this down first, but that is an option because that does look really pretty. It is up to you and your taste on that, what you like. It is time to get this on. Remember, your opening is here, and then we will be getting the rest of our stuff ready, and we will be done with this page. Okay, so I'm going to place it over to the left. I can leave a little bit of white showing if I'd like. Match it up, top and bottom. So now our pocket's like that. This may be too big, but from my reserves, but you can see you can get something in over there. Oh, here's that little pretty, not make such a pretty picture map, but you can see slides in, and you can get a good size one, 4x6 in there. Now it's time to get ready to place something here so that it will latch down with our magnet. On our little cut apart sheet, I want Prince Charming, the one right up at the top. This particular one we will cut out and around it. We do need to place this down to some of our white cardstock, and then we're going to cut out and around that. And I will show you mine as soon as I'm done. And on this one, all you really need to do is just weave out and around your images here. So here's mine before placing it to my white cardstock. So here's mine after cutting out. Grab one of your, hold it like this, and I want you to rotate it over. Grab one of your magnets. Okay, so I placed it over there. So when I'm looking at it, the magnet's right under here. Now we're also going to make it so it is a tuck. So you can see where center is here, and it is where the tip and the tip is. So I'm going to just kind of wing it here, and I'm going to go over probably 1/4 inch, and I'll wipe up any glue. Just trying to get that. And I'm going to keep the tips here. You can shimmy it over or whatever you like to do, whatever looks good to you. Okay, so now that you have that, I want you to give this just a little bend. Not creasing, but just a little bend. Now flip it over. Let's grab the mate. Find the mate. There it is. This page is complete. Let's flip it over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, and we're going to go one on either side, and we're going to want to put that glue in between there. I'm going to try and get away with trying to squirt a little bit of glue on where I think we can. There might be pages where we're going to want those 2 extras for that extra security. But I think by doing glue we'll be okay. Okay, first I'm going to remove the backing off. I first have to burnish. I'll remove the backing, then I'm going to squirt my glue in there. One thing you're going to want to do is make sure you put glue down in that corner where we had pulled back that score tape. Let's open up to page 4. And I'm going to stick something back behind my page 4 so you can see just a little better. And I'll make sure that I'm going the right way. I'll bring it in about 1/8 from the edge there. Hopefully that's straight. Place it. Now what I do is I open this up to burnish. Oh, I think that looks wonderful. Page 4 is complete. We are now moving on to page 5. We're on page 5 and 6. We're going to complete those together because they are the same on each page. So we have some pre-cuts, and you would have cut 2 pieces that were 6 3/4 by 8 inch, and we called them fold out. What we did on each one is we laid this on our scoring board, so we were 6 3/4 across, and we scored each at a 1/2 inch and 5/8 inch. Then what we had was 2 pieces that were 4 1/2 by 7 inch. We called these front pockets. We first laid this on our scoring board, so we were 4 1/2 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch. Then we turned it, so now we are 7 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch and 6 1/2 inches on each one of these. Last, we had 2 pieces that were 3 3/4 by 9 inch, and we called these our side pockets. We laid this on our scoring board. We were 3 3/4 across. We scored it at a 1/2 inch. We then turned it. Now we're 9 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 and 8 1/2 on each one of these. Let's get our main decorated pages ready. And what we're going to do is cut these at the same time. It will save us time. The first one you want is this. On the back, it looks like this. We're just going to set this down so it's sideways. They are up here. You'll find the matching one, and we want this side. We're going to turn it so that it says the fairy book, so that they're both looking like this. Our first cut, we're going to measure over 8 inches and cut. Once you've done that, these 2 pieces that are left over, we'll put in our reserves. And once again, we're going to double these up. I have this one like this, and I have this one like this. Measure over 10 1/8 and cut. Now when you do that on this one, that should put you well over, so you have plenty of room. You won't be cutting him off. So that looks pretty good. Here's our page 5, and here is our page 6. First thing we want to do is get out our fold outs. And on each one of them, we're going to just fold on those score lines to start. Okay, one's going to have a hinge off to the right, and this other one here will fold on the score lines, and we'll have the hinge off to the left. And then we're going to attach them together. Let's start with the one off to the left for this sheet. Here's our hinge. you have an inside and an outside. On the outside one, let's pinch and crease. We'll still be able to see our other one. Whoops. And we'll just attach that like we've been. Turn it over and we'll glue this down. Oops, I got a little close to that. I'm going to check, make sure I don't have any glue seeping out. Oh, I look pretty good there. So now I'm going to fold on that other one and kind of scoot it in and inspect to make sure I have that spacing. On this one, the hinge is off to the right. We have an outside and an inside score line. On the outside one, we're going to pinch and crease. Again, we'll still be able to see our other score line. And we will attach this. Check. And fold back. That looks pretty good. We're going to open these both up, and I'm just going to lay them right like this. Hopefully you can see. And we're going to get our paper for in here. We also are going to get our side pockets ready to go. So down in the bottom where those squares are, I have got to clean these scissors. Go ahead and cut out those squares and assemble both of your side pockets. And we've done so many, I don't think you need to see me go through the whole thing here. I have both my pockets ready. I'll just put one over here and one over here. Grab these back out of your reserves. There are cuttings off of these. So I'd like you to place one in your hand to where it comes over like this. This one we're going to rotate so that it comes over like that. I'm going to double these up. So this is what it looks like. One this way, one that way. Measure over 7 7/8 and cut. This is what you should have. Now this one here, I'm going to push this out. We're going to glue down like this. This one, with it going this way, we're going to glue down like this. And of course you're going to want to leave some space away from that outside score line on each one of these. So let's get those down. This is a very easy pages, because they are the same. Okay, first things first, let's grab this one. I'll just set it right here. It's the one that we have, the Prince and Sleeping Beauty on. Our opening is going to be this way. Let's get this pocket on, and then we're going to get the other one on. And I better move this one completely out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And I will line this up top and bottom and to the side of my page, making sure it does not go over. There we go. So there's that one. Let's grab this one. Opening is this way. Let's glue this one down. Oop, I didn't get enough glue down there in the corner. Now that we have these, we do need to place our magnets. So we should have in our last pack 4. So I'm going to grab 2 pluses out. Come in an inch from the side here. And we'll do the same on the other one. Coming in about an inch. Now we're going to close it. Make sure you are where you need to be here. We're going to close that one. Let's grab the 2 minuses. And we are going to flip that over. Let it find its mate. Flip this one over, let it find its mate, and we'll let that sit. And I think mine's good enough. Just push down on these. think you can see what I'm doing here. Just quicker to, if they're the exact same, it's quicker to get it all done at once. In your paper pack, you will have this print. On the back, it is this. The first cut I would like you to make is to measure over 7 7/8 and cut. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it this way, measure over 3 1/8 and cut, measure over again 3 1/8 and cut. This is what you should have. Flip it over. We're going to apply glue, and we'll leave ourselves a white little lip there. And we will do the same for this one and place that right there. So let's do that really quick. That looks really good on each one. I'm going to close that up, and I'm going to close that one up. Now on this particular page, we don't have to have a full sheet to cover this because we have a pocket. So before we do that, let's get our pockets ready to go. We have 2 of them. They're front pockets. We're going to cut out the little squares in each one, and then we'll assemble this to get this ready to go. I have both of mine assembled. We're just going to stick these off to the side, and I'm going to get our paper. In your reserves, pull this out. This piece is about 5 3/4 by, I'm thinking, about 7 7/8. Measure over 3 7/8 and cut. Measure over again 3 7/8 and cut. You should have just a sliver left after that. This is what you should have. They should be the same. Flip it over, and we are going to place this down, and we're going to have white around on the sides and the top. So we'll bring it all the way down. That'll give us a nice white border. Let's glue these down. In your reserves, you will have this print. On the back, it is this. We'll locate that. You will also find this piece. Let's put this one on our paper cutter, and we're going to cut to divide these. So this is what you should have. Next thing I want you to do with this one is put this on your paper cutter and just trim off so that all you leave is the gold border at the top, and I'll show you mine. Let's grab this one. If we were to just place this down like this, you will notice it will fit, leaving a little bit of a white border. Just place that there. I want to take a look. Then you have this one. This one should be 6 inches with the white cream on this side, thick like that one. Let's place this one down. Make sure we fit, and we do. If we were to place our pocket now over that, I think we would be just fine. I think this is a good fit for us, and I think we're going to do that. So on this one over here, let's apply glue. This is the one with the print showing over there. Now make sure your opening is at the top, and we're going to get this one on our pocket. And we're going to place it over there, bring it down to the bottom, and try to center that side by side. We should be pretty good. Okay, set that one off to the side. We're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to glue that one down, and then make sure your opening is at the top, and we will glue that down. So let's do that. And that looks really good. Let's grab this out of our reserves, and we are going to cut out and around the horse. And then what we're going to do is mount that to some white cardstock. And we'll cut out and around that, leaving a white border. So let's get our piece ready. So I just got mine glued down to some white cardstock, and now I'm going to begin cutting out and around this, leaving a white border. I have my horse done, and I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to glue that down here and make just a little tuck. So where I want to put glue is underneath his hooves, and I want to get the side of his tail and under here, and I think I want to tack down just right underneath that. So I'm going to flip it over so you can see. But I do want to make sure that I get some areas here. There's that. And I'm going to keep him, make sure his tail does not go off your pocket. If it does go off your pocket, it's going to snag up possibly when you are trying to open your fold out. Make sure I get some of this down. And then I may choose to put just a little right under here. And let's see what I got here. I have this. This may be too wide, but you can still slide a photograph back behind to stick up. And of course we have the pocket or a tag. Smaller pieces will definitely go right on in there. Or you can just, like I said, have it sticking up like that. Ooh, let's see here. What do I want to get after? I think let's first grab Dreams Come True. There's our first one. That may go over there. And let's get My Only Love. Let's cut out and around this one. And I do want to make this stand out. So I have that. We're going to glue that down to white cardstock and we'll cut out around that one. Let's cut this out and we will glue that down to white cardstock and cut out and around it. So I have both mine. First one is this, and on the bottom part, this is the bottom of it, I'm just going to put the glue down here so I can still use that as a tuck. I'll place that there. This one, right over here, right there. Let's see what else we can do. We can make this real simple actually. And I would like to make some tucks. Let's grab, we'll grab that. We can always use these. So we have some cutting ahead of us. There's a rose. Here's a rose. We have that. Grab this one, and we can grab a couple roses here, or all three up in this area. First thing we want to do is we're going to cut out and around. Now to make your life easier on this one, we're going to leave the little stand off because it's very narrow. We will cut out and around this. That'll be easy. Cut out and around your roses. Cut out and around these images. Well, one image. I will show you mine so you are clear with what we're doing here. Okay, I have this cut out, and that's as best as it gets for me. This one does get glued down to some white cardstock. Your cake, glue that down to some white cardstock. And as far as your roses, you don't need to. I just have one more going to cut out here. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I will show it to you, and then we're going to place this, and we will pretty much be done with this, unless there's something else I decide to add. Okay, I have mine cut out here. Let's start with this page here. We're going to make this a little tuck. Now we can do that right here, or you can do it right here. I think I'm going to go right on over here, and I'm just going to put some glue at the bottom, maybe a little on underneath there, and I'm going to place this right over here. I think that looks good. And this one, I'm going to make this as a tuck right here. So it's going to be back behind his shoe, the tip of his sword, and back here for her. Let's see, and it should be protected by our fold out, so we shouldn't have a problem with that. Just make sure shoe does not go over. That would look good. Let's come on over here. And we're just going to glue down some of these roses. I'll put one up here. And I have a smaller, paler one. I'll put one right here. And I have these three left. Oh, my scissors are getting in the way over there. Let's bring this one up. Let's add some glue to this one. It's the larger, paler one. I'm just going to stick that there. I'm going to grab this one that has a little more red. I'll place that there. And then I'll bring one more in on my thing. Right there. And I think we are good enough. If you want to, at the end of the tutorial, add more, you can. Okay, I keep knocking everything over. It really stinks. I gotta move some of my stuff out of the way here. Page 5 and 6 are complete. Flip it over. Score tape around the outside like a picture frame. One down the middle, one on either side, and we're going to put that glue in there. And then we're going to place these in our book. I have page 5 here. Again, I'm going to bring this all the way over, and I'll leave about 1/8 of an inch. Try to keep this as straight as I can here. And then I'm going to burnish this down really good. So this one comes over to page 5. And now I'm going to do the same thing. I think you got the hang of it as far as how to place these. I'll do my score tape, I'll get my glue in there, and then I will bring it over to the right and maybe leave about 1/8 of an inch. And I will place that one down and burnish it down. Both my pages are down. They look great. We are now moving on to page 7. We're on page 7. We have 2 pre-cuts, and if you notice, we are getting down to barely anything in our paper pack. So we are going to be really conserving some paper and doing some different kind of cuts. Our first pre-cut was 4.5 by 11 inches. We called it a pocket. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 4.5 across. We scored at 1/2 inch. We then switched it around. We're 11 across and 1/2 inch and 10.5 inches. Next, a 4 1/8 by 7 inch. We laid this on our scoring board. We are 7 inches across, and at 3 1/8 we scored. Another thing that we're going to be doing a little bit different here is how we're going to be doing our main page for this page. We're actually going to be working right in our book for this, and first things first, what I want us to do is place this on your paper cutter. You see this little trim going down this way? I want you to cut all the way down, and I will show you mine. I'm going to bring out my paper cutter here, and I'll just switch it around so I can get that better. But all I'm doing is cutting off this little bit right off the top. Next thing we're going to do is turn this sideways, measure over 4 1/4 and cut. So 4 1/4. Put this one in your reserves for now. Measure over 10 inches, not 10 1/8, 10 inches, and cut. This one would make for a really nice little tag. I'm going to get my coffee out of the way here. I'm going to get my book out. Like I said, this one is done completely different. What I would like you to do is flip it over. Apply your score tape around the outside like a picture frame. One down the middle, one on either side. We're going to put some glue in there. And what we're going to do, here's our page 7. We're going to bring this all the way over to the left, leaving 1/8 inch. And we will leave about 1/8 of an inch of white up there, and we're going to place that down just like that. I have a little bit of my 1/4 inch left here, and I'm going to use that. So this is completely different. So all the way around. We do not need to use a full 8-inch tall page. Like I said, we are getting down to it. I wanted to try and do this with the 2 paper packs. The Tula Norbert, I believe, had 12 double-sided sheets in each of those packs, so that had 4 extra sheets there, plus your sticker sheet and all that. This one only has 10 double-sided sheets, and then we have, of course, our other things there. Okay, I'm going to burnish this down. I'll remove my score tape, and I'm going to get my glue in there, and we're going to place this together. Got my glue. Here is my page 7. Try to keep my head out of the video. About 1/8 inch away. I cannot tell if that is straight or not. I'm going for it. Let's set this off to the side. Let's grab our 4.5 by 11 inch pocket. Let's cut out those squares and assemble the pocket like we have been. Here is my finished pocket. I'm going to bring this on over. I'm going to put some glue here. And then I'm going to line this up, leaving some white border down here, and that should be a nice fit. So let's do that. And then we'll get the rest of this together, and we'll be done in no time with this one. There's my pocket. Not quite glued down yet, though. There we go. I'm going to set this off to the side so we can get our other paper out. In your reserves, you will find this print. This is 12 inches by about 4 1/8. The first thing that we want to do is measure over 10 inches and cut. Next, we will turn it to where we have some of this over here. Measure over 3 7/8 and cut. We're going to apply glue to this side. We'll place it down at the bottom of our pocket, leaving a white lip, and then we're going to burnish that down. Okay, we're going to set that off to the side. Let's grab our folder, and our folder is irregular. When you fold on that and burnish down that thing, we're going to have the smaller up front and the bigger here. Let's open that up. We are now getting into our second pack of magnets. If you opted to only use one set of magnets, the rest of your pages will not have them on there, kind of like what I did with the original design of this. And we'll grab a minus. Whoops, that's not right. Get off there. Okay, we're going to come in about 1 inch on the short side. Fold it over. Let that find its mate. While that's drying, let's get our piece for here. In your reserves, you will find this print. It is about 3 1.25 by about 4 inches. And all we're going to do on this is measure to fit. So I have this clasped. Measure to fit is when you just lay it down. We are good top and bottom, but you will be able to see that this would hang over. So I'm just going to come right on over here, and if I open this up you can see a little better, but it will fit, like I said, top and bottom with our thing. We'll scoot it over so we have a little white border over there. We'll be able to see where the white cardstock ends, and that's, we'll move in a little bit and put a little pencil mark. Now we know where we need to cut. After that, we're going to apply glue, and we're going to glue that down. Let's open that up. In your reserves, you will have this piece. On the back, it looks like this. This is about 1 7/8 by 8 inches. First thing we want to do is measure over 4 inches and cut. After doing that, you will have 2 pieces. I'm going to place one here, and I'm going to scoot this one right underneath there. So take a moment. It's all according to your taste and what you like. So I have the brown over here, and then this one. And you will be placing a photo on this anyway, so eventually we'll line that up with the bottom of our other one. Now grab some of your solid colored cardstock, whether it be blue, cream, whatever color you're using. Cut a piece that is 3 inch by 4 inch. Once you've done that, place it down and glue that down. So with this one, we have a magnet sticking right over here, but we can make it so it's still a tuck there. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to take this off, and I'll show you how this works. We could have done this differently, but this is how we did it. Make sure it does not go off your page. Do it slightly at an angle and burnish. Here's a little piece of scrap, but you can tuck it right back up in there if you'd like. On our sheet here, cut apart sheet, oh, I am dropping everything. True love stories never have endings. I want that. Now at this point, this is going to be detached. So in case I need to get back after this, I'm going to stick this in a different pile. Let's cut out and around this. Let's grab some scratch cardstock. We're going to glue it down, cut out and around, and leave a white border. This one right here, we're going to put some glue along the bottom, a little up the side. So if I flip this over, we have some up the side and along the bottom, and we will place that right there. I think that looks really good. Page 7 is complete. We're moving on to page 8. We're on page 8. We have 2 pre-cuts. One is a 4 3/4 by 5 7/8, and we called that a flip. What we did was we laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 3/4 across, and we just scored at a 1/2 inch. You can go ahead and fold on that. Get that ready. The next one was a 4 1/2 by 6 inch, and we called it a pocket. What we did is we laid this on our scoring board. We are 4 1/2 inches across. We scored at a 1/2 inch. We turned it. We are now 6 inches across. We scored at 1/2 and 5 1/2, and we called that our pocket. And really quick, let's get our pocket assembled. We'll clip out those little squares, we'll fold, and we'll glue our flaps down. My pocket is ready to go. In your reserves, and we're going to be pulling everything out of our reserves, even scraps, to complete this page. The first one is this large piece. On the back, it should look like this, narrow. So we're going to look at it to where our decorative band is over here. We're going to measure over. Oh, we're going to do 10 1/8 on this page and cut. Put this in your reserves. Turn it to where the blue band is up here. Measure over 8 inches and cut. Put this piece in your reserves. This is our main decorative piece. The first thing that we're going to do is glue down our pocket. The opening is right here. I took a moment to go through our reserves for our scrap pieces because this is made up of our scraps. And if you were to look, you really don't have a ton of scraps, but this is what we need to do in order to complete this album. So you're going to come in and we're going to leave about 1/8 inch away. So maybe the blue line would be a good place, and we're going to come down to the bottom of our page and place that pocket. And you can pucker it up a little if you'd like. The next is our flap. And we're just going to put some glue on this, and I'm going to show you exactly where this gets positioned. I have glue on that flap. I'm going to pull it back. Now up here we're going to come down about 1/2 inch, and we're going to be about 1/2 inch from the side. So you're going to end up having about 1/2 inch away from your pocket. And you can use the lines in the paper to help you stay straight on this. And we're going to burnish that down. So our hinge is off to the left on that. Let's open that up. We do need to get a couple magnets out. We'll start with the plus. We'll come over, we'll have this open, we'll come in about 1 inch, and we'll place that. Then we're going to close it up, and what we're going to do is flip it over and hold this down flat and let it find its mate. Put a little glue there. So while it's shut, we're going to get a couple things out of our reserves. A few things actually. You're going to need one of your cut-aparts, and this says love will always find a way. Next you're going to find this long piece. Let me get my ruler. This is about 2 inches by 8 inches. We're going to need that. You're going to find these 2 squares. One has the bottom end of his legs on the back, and the one that has the bottom with his legs on it, we are looking at it like this, about 4 1/8 by 4 inches tall. This one has some roses in it, some trees. We are about 4 1/8 by about 4 inches tall. Now what we're going to end up doing is, here's the one with his legs. We'll flip that over, and you'll notice that there is some writing. You'll have just enough room, leaving a little white border down here, and you will have white border on either side. And here's that writing. This one, let's take a look. And I think what we're going to do is just overlap that right over the top. Let's take a look. Then what we're going to end up doing is placing this one right down to where that seam is and go across the middle. Okay, So let's do this slowly. We have this one. That's the back side of his leg. We have the writing right here. And we're going to glue this down. And now this one. And again, on the reverse, it looks like that. This piece here, all we're going to do with this is we're going to measure over 4 1/8 and cut. Once you've done that, we're going to apply glue, and you see where your seam is. We'll bring it down to where it's right over that seam, and then it will look like it's in the middle. This piece, let's cut out and around our image. Then we're going to glue it down to white cardstock, and we're going to cut out and around, leaving a white border. Mine is complete, and we're going to glue that down right to the front. Okay, let's open that up. In your reserves, you're going to find a couple scrap pieces. Let's start with this one. So it looks like this on one side, and it's this on the other. This is 2.5 inches wide by 7 inches long. Again, it looks like this and like this. The next piece is this. It's a long strip. It is 1 7/8 wide. Whoops, am I there? Yeah, about 1 7/8 wide. And I think it's about 8 inches long. Now we're going to turn these sideways. On both of these, we're going to measure over 5 5/8 and cut. Now we can arrange these either way. Let's take a look at it. This one down, it has some writing. Slide this one underneath. There's that way, or we can go this way. And I'm going to go with this one over that, and we're going to glue these down. And this one I'm going to turn over, put glue over here. Don't worry about this, we will get to this part right here in just a bit. In your reserves, you will find this piece. On the back, it looks like this. This is about 3 7/8 by 5 inches. Now, if we were just to lay this down, just like this, you will notice that it is a perfect fit, and it gives us that white little lip there. I'm going to close this. Now we have a choice. We can go with this color, or we can go with this color. I'm going to have where I have the blue up. It's just a little more color there. It's a perfect fit for us. That worked out really good. No cutting needed. If you need to trim a little bit, you can, but I think we're all going to be about the same. In your reserves, you will find this long strip. I believe this is about 12 inches. It is. And it's about 1/4 inch or so. What we're going to do is we're going to use this right up here to kind of give it a trim. And we're just going to cut it to fit. So again, bring it up. Just something that we cut off from our paper. Looks like it belongs. The next thing is grab this out. I'm going to cut out this, the horse, the prince, Sleeping Beauty, and I'm going to cut out the rose too. So with the rose, we're just going to cut out and around it. We're going to cut out and around this. We're going to glue this down to some white cardstock. Find some that it'll fit on. And then we'll cut out and around it, leaving a white border. So let's do that really quick. So I am finally done cutting this out. This piece here was probably the most challenging of all pieces that we've cut out today. I do want to glue this piece down, and we're going to let the head flip out, but we're going to completely glue that down, except for under the head. So if you have a piece of scratch cardstock, slip it back behind, and we want to make sure that the horse is on there, and get those legs. We're not going to make this a tuck. I'm afraid that if we did, that our piece could tear because of the legs. So what I do to sop up any excess glue is I kind of push it back against, and then I quickly move this out of the way. Let's see, the rose. Where would we like to put that? Actually, right here would be a good spot to give a little color down here. Put that down. For this, you should have some left over that trim that we used. We're just going to cut a piece that'll fit top and bottom. And we'll glue that down. Page 8 is complete. Flip it over, score tape around the outside like a picture frame, one down the middle, one on either side, and we're going to squirt in some glue there and place that in our book. I have my page 8 out, and for now I'm going to slide something back behind there so you can see. We'll come in from the right side about 1/8, and we will place this. There we go. That is good enough. We'll open that up to help us with the burnishing. I think the layout looks absolutely gorgeous. We are now on to page 9 and 10. We'll complete those together. Let's move on over to part 3.